I'm going to go through some of the stuff that will be in this package. This is the equation script project, both for grade 7 and for grade 8. You guys will be having a video or work shown of someone, myself, solving an equation, and you need to put the dialogue for it. So you need to write the steps, the audio for that, and explain the process. And I really want you to make sure that you're challenging yourself with using the correct language. You can submit your work either by a written script or you can make your own video. But if you share all of your progress in a doc, then I can give you feedback as you're writing it and tell you some places that you can try and make it a little bit stronger. If you have any questions about this project, make sure that you ask me. Okay, so for grade 7s, we are going on to mean, median, and mode. And then next package, we'll be doing some stuff with range and outliers. So for median and mode, these are both measures of central tendency, which is something that represents the center of a data set. So kind of talking about that average or kind of what's the best way to describe a set of data is to kind of talk about what is most frequent or what is everything kind of situated around. The median is the middle number in a set of data, but the most important thing is that this only happens if the data is arranged in order, so either from highest to lowest or lowest to highest. So you need it to be in order to find the middle number. The mode is the most frequently occurring number, so whichever one is happening the most. You can have no mode, so if nothing occurs more than another, there's no mode. If you have two values that have the same amount of each, then both are the mode. So you can have no mode, one mode, or many modes. Okay, so I'm going to go through a few of these examples, and then hopefully the work that I've shown is going to make some more sense. So we have the Oilers. They won 7 out of 10 games. As a team, they scored the following number of goals in those 10 games. So these were the number of goals that they got. So what is the mode for the number of goals scored? So to calculate the mode, it's always best to arrange your numbers in increasing order. And then the mode is going to be the most frequently occurring number in the list. So once you have them in order, it's very easy to see that you have mostly 3s. So the mode is 3 since it occurs the most. And then this green thing is just telling you about what I said about the mode. Now for the median, to find the median, you need to cross out pairs on either end until you get down to the middle. So for example, pen doesn't work. This and this cross out. This and this. This. So we're narrowing down to get to the middle. Now, the median is going to be between the two numbers that are left, or if you have an odd number of data values, it'll be the one that's left in the middle. So the only value that is between a 3 and a 3 is 3. So if the numbers are the same, then there's no number in between, so we end up just taking that number. However, if they are not the same, I just showed how you can calculate it using this as an example. You need to find what's halfway between the two numbers, so you would add them up and then divide by 2. So you find the sum and then you cut it in half. So here I went 3 plus 3, which is 6, divided by 2, which is 3. So the median is 3. Okay, so anytime that you get to a show you know, the best thing to do is to cover up the answers, try and do these questions yourself, and then see if you get the same answers as I did. Use it as extra practice. So I'm not going to go through them, but these should be the answers. So this is called a frequency table. So what that means is that there were, this is the amount of times that you had each of these wages. So you had 3 $8 wages, you had 2 $10 wages, 3 $11 wages, 2 $14 wages. So you can just keep it in the table, or I prefer to break them out as long as it's manageable. Sometimes there's too many and it just doesn't make sense to write that many out. So I wrote them all out in a line in increasing order so that I'm able to find the most frequently occurring, or the mode. So the one that is occurring the most, there's actually a tie. The $8 and the $11 are both occurring the most. So we would say that the mode is $8 and $11. So there's 2 modes for this. Okay, so the median. So to find the median, we have to narrow it down. So cross them out in pairs. And the median will be directly in the middle of 10 and 11. So we add those 2 values up and then chop it in half, and we get 10.5. So the median hourly wage is $10.50. So this next question says, how would the mode and the median be affected if one employee gets a raise from $10 per hour to $11 per hour? So what that means for your data values is we used to have 2 $10 values. So this was the original set. So we had to replace this $10 one with an $11. So now there are more $11 than anything else. So the mode is now only the $11 per hour. The median, well, if we do our crossing out, we get directly in between 11 and 11, which the median is also $11. So there is a show you know at the bottom with a frequency table. And then I showed you how I got my work for that one. So this is day 2. It's looking at the mean. So the mean is, it's also a measure of central tendency. It's another word for the average. So calculating the average of all the data set. You do this by finding the sum of the data values, and then you divide it by the number of values in the set. So that might seem confusing at first, but it makes a lot more sense when we actually try it out. So here is our example that we're going to work with, and this is the daily sales at a movie store. So we want to figure out what is the daily mean number of sales from Monday to Saturday. So step 1, we have to find the sum of the data. So we add the values in the data set. So take all these values, add them up, and we get 630. This is the sum. Sum means the answer when we have done addition. Then step 2, we divide the sum by the number of data values in the set. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data points. So we take our sum and we divide it by 6. And that gives us 105. So the daily mean number of sales is 105 from Monday to Saturday. All right, so there's a show you know at the top of this page. Again, make sure that you try and do that on your own and then check your answers. The next example is using the mean to problem solve, make predictions. So we have some data here about the distance traveled by spawning salmon for 5 days in a row. So we need to figure out what the mean distance traveled by the salmon each day. So we add up our data values. So our sum is 250. We have 5 data values. So we're going to divide the 250 by 5, and we get an answer of 50. So the mean distance traveled each day would be 50 kilometers. So that means that this is what we would assume to be true. Around 50 kilometers the salmon would go each day. They could be more or less. But we can use that to help us estimate. So how far would you expect the salmon to travel in the next 10 days? So we would expect them to travel about 50 kilometers each day. So we would go 50 times the 10 days that we're estimating for, and we get 500. So in the next 10 days, we would expect the salmon to travel about 500 kilometers. And then the Chinook salmon may travel 8,000 kilometers from its feeding grounds in the North Pacific Ocean. How many days would you predict this journey to take based on that mean daily travel distance that we calculated? So if the salmon travels 50 kilometers each day, we need to find out how many groups of 50 are in 8,000. This is what we call dividing. So we're trying to find groups of 50. So we need to go 8,000 divided by 50, calculate that, and we get 160. So the total journey would take about 160 days. And just reminding yourself that that is a rough estimate. This little note at the bottom is we're going to go and learn a little bit more about range in our next package, but it's not a difficult concept to understand. The range is how spread out your data is. So that's looking at the difference between the smallest value and the largest value. And the difference means subtraction. So if you subtract those two values, you're going to end up with the range or how spread out your data points are. So that, I think on your review booklet, there are some questions where it's asking about the range of data values or data of a data set. So just reference that if you need it. Good luck.